As I'm sure you're all aware, the February maintenance update landed just a bit ago. Besides letting you play Prop Hunt on the Space Rig, this comes with some bug fixes and weapon balance changes. So let's go over the changes that impact weapon balance while you're all trying and failing to log on to Helldivers or crashing out of a mission you found super samples in. A couple changes to bug armor. Heavy armor now scales with hazard level instead of being bugged to always have the same HP. And armor break mods on projectiles now work and will properly deal full damage on hits that break armor, which is a little meaningful for the Drac, fairly good for the Hurricane on some builds, and a really big deal for Hyperprop PGL. It can now almost one-tap shellbacks through armor on body shots, and actually one-tap them through armor if you can hit their weak point. And you can kill Stingtails through their armor too. Do note that Stingtail's little front arms on the sides still have bugged armor plates that can't be broken, though, so just aim for the face and body. And here's a bit of a correction that is also relevant to breaking armor. For a long while, players and data gatherers were under the impression that radial armor break, such as on explosions, had bugged behavior where the armor break is only fully applied to one plate and reduced to 25% on others caught in the blast. This does happen, but it was revealed a while back that this is not a bug, it's intentional, if unintuitive, behavior. No comment on how Breach Cutter gets to hit multiple armor plates without penalty while the PGL doesn't. I've also realized since the PGL video that there's an unrelated reason that armor break often seems underwhelming on it. See, even with the 25% penalty, armor break PGL is usually doing enough damage to easily break armor plates. But it's just not hitting many plates. I talked about this before in the PGL video, and this behavior is definitely still weird, but it might be more figured out now. For a while, I thought there was a line of sight check going on here, but after seeing others' thoughts and testing on this, I'm joining the there is a strict limit on how many plates you can break with one AoE source per enemy camp. This limit varies. For enemies like Praetorians, Shellbacks, and Guards, it seems you can only ever break 4 plates with one instance of AoE damage. For enemies like Grunts, it seems you can only break 9 plates with one instance of AoE damage. And on Grunts and enemies like them, they always seem to be broken in this same pattern. Since all the enemies that only lose 4 plates at a time have HP-based armor, it seems like that's what makes the difference, even in the case of the Guard, who also has strength-based armor plates. I can't pretend to really know what's going on here, but at any rate, you still can't expect to fully strip Praetorians or Shellbacks with PGL shots. Continuing the bug fixes, Hyperprop is also no longer bugged with homebrew or incendiary anymore, and now actually has randomized damage with homebrew and loses damage with incendiary. The fragile mod on the cryo cannon will no longer leave bugs just barely alive due to hazard scaling, and some bug fixes to the Stubby. Turret Arc now correctly enables electric damage bonus mods. A bug with EM discharge that caused it to apparently not work at certain angles was fixed, and Stubby's Tier 1 upgraded capacitors mod now is actually a 50% chance to electrify. For a while it was 2 25% checks instead of one 50% check, being effectively a 43.75% chance, and then for a while there was an issue where the mod didn't affect your chance to electrify turrets at all. Now it's 50% chance with this across the board. Those are all the weapon changes from this latest patch. Now that I have your attention for the moment, just like that earlier bit about how the 25% armor break bug was not a bug, I'd like to do some corrections to things I've covered in prior videos. This is largely stuff that isn't substantial enough to do whole new videos for. First, a minor detail with the Boomstick that relatively recently came to light is that the Blast Wave's hitbox is actually like a pill-shaped capsule, not a cone, which makes it slightly better at popping nearby swarmers. And there was a point in the Boomstick video where I incorrectly mentioned that with the fire mod, the heat inflicted is affected by things like weak points. This is not the case, and I definitely knew that at the time, so I'm not sure why I said that. Also, more recently I talked about the Boomstick getting a special reload delay of 0.4 seconds instead of a reload delay based on firing speed like other weapons. In Season 4 Patch 1, that actually got changed to 0.25 seconds, which is a mild buff and makes it feel a little snappier. And I've talked before about how most damage over time effects get their first damage tick instantly. Mistakenly, I thought this meant you got one extra tick of damage, but that's not the case. The first tick just happens instantly, and the total damage is still what you'd expect looking at the damage, duration, and tick rate. This means, for instance, that the total damage of electric reloads dot is 135, not 139.5, as I said in the Season 3 balance changes video. Now for a couple of overclock opinions. Back in the Bolt Shark video, I was harsh on Firebolts. I probably don't need to tell you this, but Firebolts are good in the right context. That context being you are playing solo or away from your team and want squishy target swarm clear on scout. Like everyone else, I realized this not long after the Bolt Shark's release, but I didn't really want to make another whole video just saying, "Hey guys, Firebolts are good actually." And finally, after playing more modded, I do think it should be said that bullet hell is strong on modded difficulties like Hazard 6x2. On vanilla difficulties, I'd still rather simply have something like Lead Storm, but against bigger, faster bug swarms, the stun synergy becomes more valuable to keep safe. Aggressive venting is better due to having more stuff left alive by the time you overheat, and the combination of these two things is better still. This is kind of like how players who are confident at beating a specific difficulty may end up underrating Iron Will. If you're not used to going down, you might just say skill issue, but when you crank up the difficulty enough to really challenge yourself, additional safety becomes a lot more valuable. If I was less used to Hazard 5, I would probably feel the same way about using bullet hell there too.